Michael Ignatieff is a Liberal MP, and he joins us from Ottawa this morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Ignatieff.
Good morning.
Let me ask you, in view of what happened yesterday, the Conservatives have reversed their plans to cut the party funding, which they announced yesterday. In view of that, what changes for the opposition?
Well, the issue for us, Carol, was always the absence of an economic stimulus. The issue for us always was the fact that they've got nothing to say about Canada's forestry workers, nothing to say about Canada's auto workers, nothing to say about people worried about their pension savings and mortgages. This economic statement was just not up to the challenge of the hour. And that's why we've said it's not adequate. And that's why we've, to save Canada going into another election, the leader of the party, Mr. Dion, has initiated these discussions.
So, but you've just heard the comments of the Prime Minister. He said that you do not have the right to take power without an election. Well,
look, Mr. Harper has had 3 attempts at a majority government. 60% of the Canadian people did not support his party. What Canadians expected of their Prime Minister is that he would reach out across the floor, find a moderate, sensible, practical, commonsensical approach to Canada's economic problems. And what Canadians were treated to on Thursday was a highly partisan attack on other political parties, an attack on collective bargaining for Canadian public sector workers, and also an apparent attack on pay equity for women. All of this is red meat for the Conservative Party, but it's not in the interest of all Canadians. So we are in the situation we're in because Stephen Harper can't reach out, can't seek compromise, can't attempt to give us moderate, sensible, middle-of-the-road government.
What could the government say then that would prevent you and the NDP and the Bloc from forming a coalition and defeating the government? What is it that you want to hear that could prevent that from happening?
Carol, they're in full retreat, but I'm not entering into negotiations through the medium of the CBC because it's not up to me. They're going to have to reassess their position. I think the discussions that we're having with other parties are continuing, and we will see what happens.
But I know, but let me give that another kick at the can, as I like to do. You know, if you're going to defeat
you sure do.
the government, then people have a right to know. And if you're not going to defeat the government, if there's something you can do to keep the government and to let the government stay as the minority government, the public has a right to know. Do they not?
Sure. The public has a right to know that at the moment, the Conservative government has offered nothing to the opposition that allows us to believe that they're capable of giving us an adequate response to the economic crisis. There's no plan to help the auto sector. There's nothing for forestry workers. There is no apparent stimulus in the economy. To the contrary, they're taking money out of the economy at exactly the moment when we feel money should be going into the economy. These are very fundamental issues, and the Conservative government will have to address them. And meanwhile, we're trying, in the interests of all Canadians, to find a way out of this puzzle by initiating discussions with other parties, and those discussions will continue.
Isn't it the last thing that the economy would need is the kind of political instability that you're suggesting?
But I'm not suggesting anything, Carol. This crisis, to the degree that it's a crisis, was initiated by a Prime Minister who simply is unaware, or seems to be unaware, that he's in a minority parliament and he needs to find centrist, practical, real solutions that help Canadian workers, help people worried about their pensions and savings, and he came up dramatically short on Thursday, and he has to think again, and while he's thinking, we do the responsible thing, which is reach out to other parties and see whether we could govern in his stead. I don't know how this is going to play out, but I can assure you, as someone in public life, I'm here to make sure that we don't add political instability to economic instability, and that Canadians can go about their business knowing that the people that they have elected are trying to create moderate, sensible, middle-of-the-road and practical solutions to their problems.
Well, define what political stability would look like in view of the fact that you're, as the Prime Minister put it, negotiating behind closed doors to engineer possibly the defeat of this government.
I'm not privy to these discussions. I understand that they're going on, and they will, if they arrive at a successful conclusion, and I hope they do, they won't be behind closed doors very long, and Canadians will be able to look at what is proposed, and then it'll all be very transparent, and you know, Parliament will decide, the public will decide. No secrets, no surprises.
Let me ask you this before I let you go, and I just want to take a look at the situation the way it stands now. The Liberal Party is without a permanent leader. The NDP and the Bloc each have their different agendas. The economy is said to be heading into even more challenging times. Do you really want this?
I repeat, Carol, I don't want any of it. I want the Canadian economy to be on the right footing. And I want a government that launches a prudent stimulus to the economy, saves the auto sector, helps the forestry sector, reassures Canadians about their pensions and savings. That's what I want, and I think my party wants, and many people on all sides of the House want. The problem is the Prime Minister engaged in a provocative, partisan, inept, and incompetent economic statement on Thursday, and I'm elected by the citizens of Etobicoke Lakeshore, my riding, to defend them. And I can't let this kind of statement pass. If the government wants to walk back down the hill, sounds like a good thing to me. But in the meantime, we have to do what a responsible opposition does, which is try and figure a way out of this crisis. And that's what we're trying to do. And I can assure you we have the concerns and preoccupations of the people who put us here, who are our boss after all, very much at heart.
So just very quickly, the plan now, though, is to continue going ahead to form that viable government and engineer the defeat of the Conservative government in the House of Commons.
That is the current plan. The negotiations are underway. I'm not privy to those negotiations, Carol, so I don't know at what state we're at. But I assure you we are negotiating responsibly and on the basis of core Liberal commitments, and above all, this devotion to give Canada sound, sensible, middle-of-the-road economic leadership. And I'm hopeful that we can come to a good and successful conclusion.
All right. Michael Ignatieff, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Carol.